Now, something that I haven't been able to get out of my mind is what Jujutsu Kaisen has done over 5 short episodes with Season 2, with a very prominent character, Suguru Geto. The short arc that airs before the Shibuya incident arc and flashes back before when Yuji joins Jujutsu High, showcases Geto's descent into madness and how a once happy and wholesome group of friends, something that ended in such misery and death, yet started out as wholesome as can be. Having a mini-arc flesh out a villain or main character isn't anything new, but what's brilliant about Jujutsu Kaisen is how the structure of these arcs lets the punchline hit much harder than if it had aired originally in chronological order. See, whenever anime fans debate should a franchise like Monogatari be watched in airing or chronological order, I never really have a strong opinion, as on one hand, airing order when things bounce around is a pretty unique experience for a pretty unique anime like Monogatari. But on the flip side, chronological order makes the events a lot more easy to digest in a dialogue series like it. But here, I can safely say you only watch in chronological after you first watch Season 1, followed by Jujutsu Kaisen 0, and then of course Season 2. Season 1 starts off with our boy Yuji being thrown into a world of sorcerers and mayhem, and like him, we learn and grow with these characters and their environment, with all the cursed madness we've grown to love. Who is this badass Gojo, and what mysteries and powers does he hide? By the time Season 1 comes to a close, we think things make sense. Jujutsu Kaisen then comes in and shows us, wait, Geto be dead. And most importantly, this man really wants to kill non-sorcerers as he thinks of humans as monkeys. Flash forward to Season 2, and wait, what's this? Geto might be more considerate than a lot in this cast, so when the final episode of this arc plays, and you have a million thoughts hitting you all at once, as you then start to piece it together in the timeline, and for me anyway, you're left saying, hold the fuck up. Not only do I get why he went mad and slaughtered a village, and made it his mission to eliminate all non-sorcerers to escape this hell-forsaken world, but now I'm even more interested in seeing Season 2 with Geto with this giant-ass scar across his head and where the hell we're going to go. Because starting this story off with some lunatic who seemingly knows Gojo, to then watching the movie, which takes place roughly a year or so before Yuji enrolls in Jujutsu High, to then finally caring about Geto by Season 2 as a person who I feel more empathy for than I ever thought possible, is one hell of a whiplash experience. At the start of Season 2, we see Gojo and Geto as equals, as best friends, but by the end, when Gojo becomes the strongest and they're no longer side by side day after day, Geto starts hating the world around him. We see what this separation does to him and why it was so important for Gojo to stay by his side even after he had awakened to his full power, as when given a purpose to protect the weak only for those around you to slip away through death or willingly doing so, any man starts to slip and start to reconsider what truly is his purpose, like the strong protecting the weak, when this is the reward. Often worlds like these full of curses and evil spirits to destroy misses a very crucial detail: depression, and someone's possible descent into madness when having to deal with them day after day. What's great about Gojo's flashback is how it starts so wholesome, a group of friends keeping each other safe and minds at peace. I mean, damn bro, look at this opening. You show this to a newcomer and they aren't thinking a show with something like that as the OP is about to make them cry, but all I can say is it's a terrible day for Rain watching this arc play out, as after losing Rico and seeing his best friend grow farther and farther away from him, as all he gets to do is consume spirit after spirit, which he describes as a life of exercise, absorb over and over and over again. A taste and sensation best described as swallowing a dirty rag that's been used to clean up vomit. Who is he doing this for, and how many friends must he see die before his eyes? Why can't Gojo just use this amazing new power of his and let the others rest if he's truly so special? What is his purpose anymore? Going from a very strong opinion of this lunatic just wants to kill all non-sorcerers to save the world, yeah right, all psychopaths say similar bullshit, but objectively, there's always a better way, to then flipping my opinion completely on its head with only a few short episodes getting me to say, wait a second, why the hell am I agreeing with a lunatic is one hell of an experience. I know he shouldn't, it's not right as so many innocents will die, but even I get put into his shoes, who knows where my own mindset might land. Being tormented day after day, feast on the most rancid taste, to kill these curses, feeling alone and isolated, wondering who you're even fighting for and for what, lacking a purpose after living his life with one before it all started to break around him. Jujutsu sorcerers protect the weak, the ones who can't protect themselves, and when that thought seemingly starts to be failing, when someone else can come in and give your life purpose again, it can sometimes push you down the wrong path, as wondering who's the next person you'll see on that table dead for a cause, something that each day you're believing less and less in, finally lets him snap when the thought is brought up. The easiest way to stop these abominations from appearing would be to eliminate the main spot that they pop up at, non-sorcerers. It's hard for him not to start considering, if not fully accepting it. But the true brilliance is how it's not until he's tasked at killing 2 little girls in a cage, with adults yelling in his ears as he finally fully snaps. He couldn't save Rico, he might not be able to save himself, but these monkeys have pushed me far enough, and with it brings his first and maybe even worse crime. He massacred over 100 villagers, including his own parents, and the lone survivors are the children he was almost forced to kill because some monkeys told him to do so. By having the viewers assume Geto is some stereotypical bad guy that used to be friends with Gojo, we let our guard down and focus on learning about the main cast and world in Season 1. Seemingly sees his plan get put into full swing, and the lengths he's willing to go to cleanse the world of curses to finally see what happened in the first place only after we think we know all we need to. The best antagonists or villains are ones you understand how or why they got the way they did, and how much it pushes the characters' backs against a wall as they try to fight back. Geto is without a doubt the perfect example of tragic meets madness. As Gojo carries Rico's body away from the cult, he tells them they can slaughter everyone there and he would be okay with it, yet Geto calms Gojo down, saying to him it was pointless and there was no reason to which Gojo responds, why does there need to be a point, almost criticizing Geto's way of thinking. Yet by the end of this arc, when Geto takes over the cult, the first person we see him kill to get obedience is the man who paid Toji to kill Rico. In such a short amount of time, we watch a man go from thinking revenge isn't the answer to them wanting to slaughter all the monkeys. Yet it works and somehow doesn't feel rushed. Episode 5 of Season 2 might be the best episode of the series to date, as it lets depression and isolation creep over and consume Geto, leaving just a walking husk waiting for his own death or someone to show him another way. So when that someone does arrive and the straw finally breaks the camel's back, who of us can say we too won't also fully snap? Over this episode, we learn what it feels like to consume curses, how isolated he is from the others, but most importantly, Gojo, his once ride or die, a world he no longer feels love for and just wants out. And the next scene we see is him committing the crime that gets him expelled and hunted, yet this moment, he finally seems at peace like he was before Rico's death. The layers upon layers that make such a short arc so meaningful is honestly insane. Hibara showed Geto a very similar innocence and sense of purpose he once felt, almost a glimmer of hope and the old him as his purpose was starting to slip away. So when you see someone like that dead before your eyes, you really question, why does the strong die for the weak? It's easy to see how someone starts to think the strong should just protect the strong, especially when you consider Hibara is a single sorcerer among thousands in this world who practically died for nothing. Geto's hatred for the monkey surprisingly goes from generic evil to the most complex character arc you could possibly ask for any antagonist. What's brilliant about the Watch Order is when watching Jujutsu Kaisen 0 and seeing how Gojo feels about this moment of confronting his best friend, who he can't accept as being capable of this kind of murder. The scene is dark, grim, almost haunting. Yet in Season 2, when seeing it from Geto's perspective, all we see is sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. As for him, this is his freedom. While Geto and Gojo spent less time together, from Gojo's point of view, he never saw this coming, meaning he had no idea how bad Geto's mindset was becoming. To hear he slaughtered a village is like hearing your kind grandma willingly ran over the playground. No, it had to be an accident at worst, as he isn't this kind of person. Hell, he's the one who said no to killing the cult just moments prior. It's something he can't believe and seemingly still couldn't accept until the end of Jujutsu Kaisen 0. But for Geto, he was more alone and scared than ever, so this wasn't a nightmare, this was freedom, relief that there was finally a light at the end of the tunnel, and the world eventually will be cleansed of curses under his rule. A purpose, no one telling him to eat the vomit-covered rag. Instead, he'll take matters into his own hands. While we still find ourselves disagreeing with Geto's end goal and what it'll cost, it's hard not to feel as if we understand how this once kind man ended up down such a dark and twisted path. Villains aren't always born, many are made, and we see what this event does to Gojo. He can't and won't believe Geto actually did this, nor will he kill him in this moment. We see it actually takes until the end of Jujutsu Kaisen 0 for him to fully accept it. Yet for Geto, he looks at this world and his friend abandoning him, using him like some cursed vacuum cleaner, never asking if he can keep on going or how he's doing. Seeing all the evil in this world and reaches the conclusion, why don't we stop curses at their source, especially if this route we're going down gets people I care for killed or forces me to kill children in cages. Why must the strong die for the weak? Why should I help monkeys standing behind cages who simply want me to kill the strong? Anyone would finally snap in that moment. Had we started this arc in season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen, I don't think it would hold as much weight, as walking into season 2, we knew what the end result would look like, Gojo being alive and Geto turned bad. We all know the timeline, yet seeing them so happy and innocent, waiting for it to all break down, gets you to care for someone you moments prior hated for their seemingly evil acts. And when the punchline comes and the credits play, it's hard not to come out saying, a man forced to eat a vomit-covered rag day after day, watching countless sorcerers die, wondering who you're even doing it for, as you're more alone than ever, comes to this moment and finally snaps for the quote-unquote easy way out. Because for him this isn't easy, he suffered enough, and it's time for those monkeys to screw off. The current cycle isn't working, and it's up to him to solve the problem others are scared to. When the idea is brought up that a world of only sorcerers could exist, you start seeing the gears turn, and you know it's only a matter of time before something sets him off. Had those two girls not been tormented and almost killed, who knows if something would have set Geto off. Maybe he would have just taken his own life instead if nothing else similar was there to make him blow up. We never will truly know, but this particular moment is the perfect way to turn an evil character to a tragic downfall of man. A world where sorcerers pay the price for a thankless job can break even the kindest of souls, as seen by Geto's downfall. I mean, I disagree with Geto's end goal of eliminating all non-sorcerers, and he is 100% in the wrong from my point of view. But what Jujutsu Kaisen did a brilliant job at is establishing a hatred, or at the very least a strong opinion, to say there's no way I'll ever sympathize with a mass murderer. Yet in 5 episodes, they did just that. As I said, the villains that stand out are the ones that you understand why they snapped, why they went to the quote-unquote dark side, and rather than being comically evil, Geto is a broken man who, when first asked should we kill this cult, they deserve to die, he took the high ground. But after enough time had passed, and he'd suffer enough, he picked his poison, one we all would like to say we wouldn't, but as someone not tasked at dealing with this hell day after day, who am I to say I truly would be any better? He was one step away from ending his own life or ending others, and while the answer he picked was maybe a wrong one, and the best solutions are often the most challenging, every story needs a good villain, or someone to help propel a character like Gojo forward, and at the start of the 2nd season of Jujutsu Kaisen, they found one hell of a way to flip an alright evil character into the series' best, just like that. Ever since Jujutsu Kaisen went on break, I haven't been able to get Geto's descent into madness out of my head. Had you told me prior to season 2 dropping I'd feel bad for Geto, the worst of all curse users, let alone understand why he ended up with such a deep-rooted hatred to non-sorcerers, I'd have called you a liar. But not only has his madness turned him into my current favorite Jujutsu Kaisen character, he's actually one of my new favorite villains in anime period. But hey, those are just my ramblings. Let me know what you thought of this mini arc and Geto's character up to this point down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed, remember to subscribe if you happen to be new around here. There's also my Patreon where you get exclusive live reactions to shows just like Jujutsu Kaisen, early access on videos like the one you're currently watching, and you also get your name featured like all the beautiful people you see here.